All right, question, yes, sir.
Like me, I'm formerly a pastor. When I heard your message in YouTube, listening to your lecture, after 3 months I renounced my faith that I never believed Jesus Christ anymore.
Welcome home.
Now my question is like this. It's hard to be converted in Judaism, right? It's a long process.
Yeah, usually is,
It's a long process.
yeah.
Now my question is, like me, I don't want to be converted because of the long process, but I believe Hashem alone and do something and do what the Tanakh said, and I appreciate what the Jewish people, but I would like to stay in the Judaism belief. No need to convert.
Right.
Is that right?
That's correct. It's this comes, as I said, I'll use this word, it's a very strong word, but you didn't come here for applesauce, you want it straight.
Yeah. That's right.
The problem is that people leave the church, but they still have the stench of the church with them. The culture, the mindset stays with them. Their clothing still stinks from cigarettes. And that's why Isaiah used the word, rise up, wash yourself, touch nothing unclean. Wash yourself. What does that mean, wash yourself? That means get rid of all that. The idea that somehow Gentiles are second-class citizens and they don't have favor with God and they don't have a place in the world to come in an eternal life is an invention of the church. It's not found in the Bible. As I said, Abraham wasn't Jewish, and Job, the oldest book in the Bible, was certainly not Jewish. In fact, commandments like keeping kosher and keeping Shabbos are never mentioned in the book of Job. It doesn't say that Job was righteous because he kept Shabbos or kept kosher. And people go, really? I never thought about that. Well, really, yes. Now, rabbis, Orthodox rabbis, are really looking out for you. And the reason is that there's no reason to convert to Judaism to be saved. This is very important. But there's a concern, a very deep concern, and that is that you cannot undo a conversion to Judaism. It can't be undone. And therefore, if someone converts to Judaism, instead of having what's called the 7 Noachide laws, which are broadly 7 categories of laws, which really comprise about 70 commandments. Now you are bound to 613 commandments, and sort of the disparity is not that great. Well, 613, that's a lot. As it turns out, if you live in the Philippines and the Messiah isn't here, which would go hand in hand, there are actually about 279 commandments, because most have to do with the land of Israel and the temple. So suddenly the disparity begins to narrow. But the key point is that now, forgive me, I'm going to give you a straight answer. If you wish, I know you wouldn't, but if you wish, on Yom Kippur, you can get a big pork sandwich, get in your car, and drive around smoking a cigar, and there's no problem. I'm just saying that you have not sinned. So if a rabbi takes you that you can eat pork on Yom Kippur, again, not that you would, and there are millions of B'nai Noach around the world who do keep kosher to some extent or another. Not all do, but many do. It's voluntary, it's up to them. But you don't have to keep the Shabbat, meaning it's laws. You should honor the Shabbat as the glory of the day that God rested, of course. But you're not obligated to keep its laws. So now, here you are, a righteous person, a child of God, created in the image of God. And now there's no sin in eating pork, and you don't have to go around trying to find a kosher restaurant. And you then have a true halachic conversion, which means Kabbalas Torah, accepting the Torah, the mitzvahs of the Torah. It means for a man's circumcision and also immersion in a mikveh. It can't be reversed. if chas v'shalom, if God forbid, 2 years down the road, you decide, I don't know, I don't want to keep kosher anymore. He made you into a sinner. Your conversion was the worst thing you could have possibly done. Because now, not eating kosher now means you're in sin. The Jew must have certain commandments for the same reason a jet needs a different type of fuel than a car. A Jew, what is the role of a Jew then? If I just finished telling you that we're all created in the image of God, a Jew has a role in the world, and that is to be an or lagoyim, Isaiah 49 verse 6. To be a mamleches kohanim v'goy kadosh, to be a kingdom of priests. If we are the priests, if we are the rabbis of the world, who are the laity, who are congregants, the non-Jews? And in fact, in the Messianic age, 10 Gentiles of different languages will grab the shirt of a Jew and say, take us with you, because now we know that God is with you. So, the Gentiles are going to say, Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 19, read it. And the Gentiles will, this is Messianic prophecy, and the Gentiles will come to you, the Jewish people, and say, surely you've inherited lies and vanity where there can be no truth. How can a man make unto himself gods when they are not? Now I'm going to ask you a question. If the Jews are wrong about Jesus, if we're wrong about the Trinity, I mean, you can't possibly be more wrong than that if Christianity is a true religion. Let's be frank, okay? Let's just put it on the table. Let's leave out the door all, nice talk. We don't need that, okay? Let's just put it on the table. If Christianity is a true religion, then not believing in Jesus is the worst thing you can do. Okay? Then why, when the Messiah comes, will the non-Jews come to the Jew and say, now we know you're right? We were the most wrong people possibly because we're the ones who actually met Jesus. Not the Puerto Ricans, not the Eskimos. We were there. And we rejected him. Worse, we killed him. And we did, according to the Christian Bible. Okay? So if we are wrong, I mean, think, because really everything's at stake here. If the Jews are wrong about this point of the Christian Jesus, I don't want to talk about the Muslim Jesus because that's something completely different. Completely different. If we are wrong about the Jesus of Christianity, then we're not just sort of off base. We didn't just it wasn't like we wore a brown shoes and a black belt that doesn't go together, like a style faux pas. We blew it. The worst thing you can do. If we're wrong, it should say, and at the end of the days, the Jews will come to the Gentiles and say, whoa, I'm so sorry about that Jesus thing. Sorry, messed that one up. I hope you can give us a free pass on that. Why are they coming to us if we're wrong about everything? The answer is that the role of Jew is to be a light to the nations. To do that, to carry out that central mandate that the Torah puts upon us, we need special fuel. We just have to fly. We can't be running on gasoline that drives a car. You put that into a plane, it's not going to fly. The airplane needs kerosene, it needs jet fuel, it needs something that's really going to let it take off to carry out our role to the world. That's the job. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, well, all right, I hear nice stuff, Rabbi, and you're a really sweet guy and nice shirt and everything. Are these jokes too complicated for this section? I'm kidding. But I know you're thinking to yourself, it just sounds to me that not being Jewish is just not as good. You can give it whatever spin, and I really appreciate what you're saying, and I'm really happy I'm not a second-class citizen and I have a place in the world to come, which every child of God does. But it really does sound to me that if you're Jewish, it's just better. Now, I want you to know this. It is great to be a Jew. It is wonderful to be a Jew. It's a joy. But I will share this with you. To be a Ben Noach, you have an opportunity that no Jew has. This is what makes the B'nai Noach so great, so unique. And this is what is often lost. And I want to share this with you. I'm not trying to get, this is your decision to be a Jew or a Ben Noach it's the most important decision you can ever make in your life. And it's a decision that is between you and God. But I want to share this with you. I want to share something with you, the opportunity that a Ben Noach has that I am so jealous of. I envy a Ben Noach. And you're going, you envy a Ben Noach? You mean because there's not a kosher McDonald's on every corner? No, that's not the reason. Let me explain why. As it turns out, in order to keep the 7 Noachide laws, the 7 Noachide laws are again categories of laws. People go, where is it in the Bible? It's everywhere. People go, I don't see the 7 Noachide laws. It means that descendants of Noah, which we all are, every single person in this room is a descendant of 8 people on that ship. And the laws of not stealing and murder are all over the book of Genesis. I mean, or else what did the world do wrong? By robbing and killing and raping women and living a life that is immoral. I mean, then why did God bring the flood if there were no laws prior to Mount Sinai? Do you follow that? Okay. You're going, oh, that makes sense. Okay, good. So stay with me now. The 7 Noachide laws is number 1. Every child of God is called upon to worship one God and no other, and to bow before no one else but the God of Israel, the God of the heavens and the earth, who created the heavens and the earth, and no other. And never, God forbid, to commit an act of blasphemy. It's forbidden to murder. It's forbidden to steal. You have to be honest in business. Do you have people that work for you? Do you employ people? You can't tell them on Friday, I'll pay you Monday. I didn't do the payroll yet. It's a very grave sin not to pay your employees on time. In fact, the book of Malachi tells us that's one of the reasons that the Messiah could be held back from coming is because people don't pay their employees on time. I'm serious. If you have a business, be very careful, because these people are waiting for their income. They're waiting to be paid. It's forbidden to withhold someone's wages. You go to the supermarket and give them a large bill. It's a big supermarket. They got loads of money. And the cashier gives you an extra 1,000 pesos. You think to yourself, well, this place does billions of pesos. They do billions of dollars in business a year. They're not going to miss it. And you start walking away, but you realize the cashier didn't realize that 2 bills were stuck together. You're not allowed, it's forbidden to eat from the flesh, from a limb of a living animal, Genesis 9. You can't cause suffering to animals. There are many religious Jews that actually don't have pets because there's so many laws about protecting a pet from suffering. If you come home and you're hungry and your dog is hungry, guess who has to be fed first? Your pet, not you. You're not allowed to sit down to eat unless your animal ate first. Do you know why? Why is that? Why is that so important? Not to cause stress to the animal. It's very powerful. If we know that we're going to eat in a half hour, so we can go, all right, in a half hour I'll eat. You know? But the dog doesn't know that. They don't have that concept of before, now, later. They don't have that concept. So if they come home and you're eating and their bowl is empty, they don't understand that they're going to be fed in an hour from now, and it causes them great stress. It is forbidden to do that to an animal. Non-Jews must have courts in order to enforce these laws. They can't live a life of immorality. They must live a moral life in their relationships. Now, here's the caveat. If a person says, you know, I just went to the store and the cashier gave me back too much money in change, And I just don't think it's right. And I'm going to return the change. The bank deposited money in my account, but the teller made a mistake and put in too much money. And I just think it's wrong. So I'm going to tell the bank, you have not fulfilled the commandment. One must say that the reason I'm not stealing, the reason I'm not murdering, the reason I don't cause a suffering to an animal, the reason I live a moral life is not because it makes sense to me, not because it feels right, it's because the God of Israel commanded me. Amen. You got that? And this is a challenge. Why? Because all the Noahide laws are rational. They make sense to us. Why do they make sense to us? We're created in the image of God. For the same reason that this camera, I can plug it into electricity, the voltage matches. We're created in the image of God. We have a spark of God in us. The commandments make sense to us. They make no sense to a cat. If we can talk cat, just make believe, and you say to cat, you know, it is just wrong to go around killing mice for no reason, the cat will go, what are you talking about? What? Why? Okay, there's never been an animal that believed in God in history. We are wired for God. So, for a Ben Noach to say the reason I'm going to be honest in business because Hashem committed me is a very great thing. For a Jew, it's much easier. It's not so difficult. Why? Because when a Jew puts on tefillin in the morning, phylacteries, when we make kiddush on Shabbat, right? When we shake an esrog and a lulav on Sukkot, these are commandments. When we check our clothing to make sure that there's no wool and linen in our clothing, there's no obvious reason for these commandments. If you ask a Jew making kiddush on Friday night, why are you making these blessings over a cup of wine? There's only one answer. He can't say because it makes sense to me. He must say only one thing, or she must say, because God commanded me to sanctify the Sabbath. So a Jew, in a sense, has a gun to his head. In a sense, a Jew is forced. He can't put on tefillin or wear tzitzis or put on a talis and say it makes sense to me, because it doesn't make sense. These are called chukim. We trust God. If I trust my doctor who gives me a pill and says, take this and you'll feel better, I can certainly trust the God of Israel who created that doctor. Right? So therefore, being a Ben Noach really has a fabulous spiritual advantage. Because everything you do as a Ben Noach, every mitzvah you keep, every time you're honest in business, and you do it, and it makes sense, it's rational, but you say, no, I am going to be honest in business because the God of Israel commanded me, not because it makes sense to me, not because I don't like the idea of harming an animal. I don't like the idea of causing suffering to an animal, but because the God of Israel commanded me. Ooh, this is great. A Jew doesn't have this opportunity. We are forced to say, why am I keeping Shabbos? Why am I putting black boxes on my arm, on my head? This doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to my mind, which is fine. Why? Because a God, as Snod, a great rabbi once said, a God that I completely understand, I can't worship. God has an infinite mind. We have a limited mind. So therefore the Ben Noach has this completely unique, transformative way of serving God that a Jew can't. We can in the commandments that makes it, because all the laws that pertain to a Ben Noach also apply to a Jew. A Jew can't eat from a limb of a living animal, forbidden to steal, and so on. But the key of the Ben Noach is that all the mitzvahs are rational. And God is calling upon you to fulfill these mitzvot, not because they make sense to you, but because the God of Israel commanded you. You're very fortunate. Now, you might ask then, why be a Jew? I've just sort of turned this around. The truth is, I cannot speak for all converts to Judaism, but I will say this to you, that people who convert to Judaism just feel that this is who I am. I have to be a Jew, and if I'm not a Jew, in the words usually that converts share with me is, if I'm not a Jew, I can't be. I'm just not. It's who I am. It's more than my calling. It's my essence. And these are, in Jewish tradition, these are really Jews who lost their Jewish identity and are returning back. In fact, the word ger, the word convert is not a Jewish word. The word is a ger, and a ger really means a stranger. It means that someone 5 generations ago, your grandmother converted to Christianity because whatever was difficult, and then she didn't tell her grandchildren because she didn't want the secret to get out, and here you are in Manila, and then you're going, oh, I just love everything Jewish, and I don't even know why. All right? So people who ultimately do convert, they're just coming back home. They're just coming back to where they come from. And that's why Gerim can say they are a Ben Avraham or a Bat Avraham. Why? How could you be? I understand how you can change what you believe. How do you change your race? How do you change how do you become a child, a son or daughter of Abraham? I can't change the answer is you always were. In Jewish tradition, all converts were always Jewish. And they simply are restoring. So to the convert, it's not so much going, okay, I go to heaven a lot longer as a Jew than a Jew. That is not, I have never met a person who converted who told me that. But when I speak to what's called a ger tzedek, they will say to you, if I can't be Jewish, I don't want to live. Not that I want to die, but it's like, then what's the point? This is who I am. I can't be something else. If you feel so called, then you should pursue conversion, if you feel that way. Now, the rabbi's job is to try to, in a sense, talk you out of it, meaning he wants to make sure that you're in this for life. It cannot be undone. You can leave Judaism and practice something else, but you're still a Jew. So the rabbi's job, in summary, is to protect you from doing something impulsively, spontaneously, but then maybe you might change your mind. So they really want to make sure that you're committed. It's not like a club, that in order to join a club, you want to show that you're really committed to the club. It's not that. They want to see that this is absolutely, completely committed to this for life. They want to know that you are familiar with the mitzvot, you lived your life for at least a year as an observant Jew, so that when you're converted, you don't suddenly go, okay, what do I do? Okay, so that's the rabbi's job, is to slow you down, but that's not your business. Don't stick your nose in the rabbi's business. Your job, if you believe that I must be a Jew, your job is to push ahead and pray to the God of Israel, and he will bring you home. Okay, thank you.
Adon olam asher malach בטרם כל יציר נברא ועת נעשה בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה